Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Let me get a projector going so I can see what you guys see. Let's do. No, I don't want to transform anything. I want a projector. Output. Thank you. How's everyone doing? I see that Anders says good evening from Stockholm at 1911. There we go. And I am echoing for me. Question is, am I echoing for any of you guys? No. Okay, so either I can ignore it or figure it out later. So you might notice that the bumper music has changed. Oh, there's two of them again. The one I had been using as in and out since we got this new software. Uh, the artists, I don't know if the artists themselves or their publisher or YouTube, somebody's been saying, it's stolen music, it's stolen music, like randomly for the last couple weeks. As you guys know, I was using the same one for the intro and the outro. They'd claim one randomly, and I've been emailing back and forth with the licensing house and trying to get them to fix it. Like, just, hey, he's got the license. It's a bumper, so it's not like I'm playing it live every day or something. It's fully within the realms of the license, and that hasn't been working out so well. So I submitted the last dispute on it for the last two shows. And so the problem with it is the way that YouTube does it is they take everything that the show makes. So anything that that you guys donate or anything that that they gets from playing ads or whatever, and gives it to them. So when I put the dispute in, it gives it an escrow. And then when they say, "Oh, he's got a license," or they ignore it for 30 days, then it all comes back to the account. So it's just a hassle that we don't need. So we switch back to some of our other lovely music, and the other artist, who shall remain unnamed for now, does not get any more plays. Oh well. All right, so next, I have the browser window open, but I don't have any news in it yet. So let's get there. Where's my notebook? There it is. All right, so we're going to copy link, and we're going to paste it on over here. And then I'm going to go to, not collab view, because there's nobody on the other line. We're going to go to presentation view. Ba-ba-bum. All right, so yeah, we're also, after this, going to get ready for our hurricane prep, because that's a thing. And since they are heat engines, they're going to become more and more frequent as we warm the planet. So here we go. Starting with Tesla replaces Ford as Morgan Stanley's top pick in the U.S. auto sector. Pretty cool. That's all I had to say about that, because this is not stock advice, financial, anything like that. Just, it was interesting. Opening you guys up to it. Let's go here. There we go. Yeah, we're going. No, we're not. What are you doing, computer? All right, let's click on stuff instead. Apparently this one came from me, and it says, "What's old is new again." Is this the right week? All right, so this one's coming from X, and it is me. It says, "What's old is new again. Hopefully the Rivian partnership will make this the last time this headline comes from VW or one of the companies in that organization." I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to phrase that which is VW Porsche, because their corporate structure is a mess. We've talked about it before on the show. Why? What? You want to say hi to everybody? I can't help you with that. You want to say hi to everybody? You have to ask mommy. So, what's going on here is software issues at Volkswagen are delaying their next gen SPP platform, and they had the same problem with the ID4, and the whole point of their partnership with. She said no. Here, you cooking a banana? Behind me is her toy kitchen. Uh, so hopefully the partnership with Rivian, which is one of the aims is to prevent exactly this, is able to take hold quickly, and that we don't keep seeing this over and over again at VW about having problems with software and how the software is holding the whole launch of cars up, because this is quite ridiculous at this point. I understand that they may not consider themselves to be a software company, but when that which you make has become that level of software defined, you should probably be ready to crank them out. Just saying. So, continuing on. Oh boy, inside EVs again. All right, so we'll come back to them because we got to wait to end up on a different repeater, load balancer, whatever. The server that they sent us to has the the wrong certificate on it, and we're just gonna wait. All right, so next is this one from Tesla North. Andrew says, "Do you want us to use YouTube or X?" I would like to use X, but at the moment, they they don't really value me as a creator. I don't get any of the features as a creator are turned on for me, other than the ability to share the content with them. So I'm gonna have to be like Marquez and Mr. Beast and everybody like that, and say, "Hey, hit me on YouTube until Elon changes something." But I know that some people are, have transitioned. They don't want to do anything with YouTube or Instagram or whoever, and they prefer X. So for the live shows, I'll put them everywhere that the platform will let me. But for the pre-recorded stuff, I'm gonna keep it on YouTube until they say, "Hey, come on over. We appreciate your content over here." Um, it's a lot of work to do it all, and then for they even haven't even fixed the Elon still does it. The stolen content, basically, where somebody's picture or video, they'll use like the iPhone share feature and share to X, and it says, "Oh yeah, so and so." It gives a link to their X handle, but it doesn't give them any of the views or any of the stuff. So it's like, and it was annoying to me for other people who were monetized on X that people were doing this, but then it was just like infuriating when I saw Elon keep doing it, even after people pointed it out to him. Like, that's like, are you stealing from them because you don't want to pay them, or is there something wrong with this share tool that needs to be addressed? Like, hey, you received this coming in. Uh, Very much like how the community notes has finally been able to find duplicates of content and attach the community note to it. You should be able to do the same thing. Find the duplicate content, and then give the original creator, either if they're monetized, give them their money, and if they're not monetized, give them their credit, so they can either get there or do what they want with it. And that's kind of how I feel about it. Uh, I'm soon there. I hope so. I'm gonna keep trying, and like I said, I'm not against it at all. It's just pragmatically, come on over to YouTube where I can actually get something from it, and then use that to further the production. But also, you know, if you're already on X, keep that up, and if you know anybody at X, hey, at G Custom, let's get him fixed. uh, Hello, Dan. Good to see you. Twitch seems to like the alternate for YouTube, but I miss SpaceX on YouTube. Yeah, SpaceX on YouTube I miss because the quality is still not yet there for X videos. There's just a cap, a limit, and we know that SpaceX is recording them because they have to go back and use it for their own analysis, as well as when we saw them on YouTube, they were in 4K. It's not to say that they're never going to be 4K on X, because they used to be stupid low, and now they're at least HD. So they might be 720, they might be 1080. I can't quite tell. The way I watch them is I pop them out and then expand them all the way. So the settings for me, I've seen 720, I've seen auto, and before it used to be just like a smear. But we'll see how it all plays out. They're they've got limited resources, and they made them more limited, and then they are just just growing pains. We'll see where they end up and how it goes. I've been like I say sometimes, I've been on Twitter longer than Elon, so I'm gonna stick it out and see what happens. I like the platform, and so this what we're seeing here on my screen is from Tesla North America, and this is a police department that has gone all Tesla, not just all electric, all Tesla. And I think they bought 20 vehicles, some X's and or some X's, some threes and some Y's, and they're gonna see what it's all about going electric, assuming they pay attention and do the bare minimum. It's not that hard to to have an electric car and deal with it. Uh, they know their use case before they even bought it, so if it fit there, then it should continue to fit. All right, let me check the multi-stream settings real quick to make sure I'm not missing anything over there. I do wish that would just show them both either as like a dual column, or I don't know, just, it could be more efficient. Next, we will view. Wow, that was close. That was a thunderclap. Uh, and as you can tell by my reaction, it was really close. Did not did not. Wow, it set off the cameras. Incredible. Hopefully they recorded that so I can come back and look at it, because that was impressive. All right, let's go over here. And while that one loads, let's see if Inside EVs has put us on another load balancer. Yes, they have. Here we go. So as you guys know, I've pretty much stopped following, well, not following, but reporting on prices of these EVs unless I see a deal for you guys, uh, because they're always in flux, and it's not that novel to be news, I guess. So right now, what we're looking at here is Tesla Model Y long range used prices have plummeted to $25,000, and there are other programs elsewhere in the country that can get you down to the teens on a Tesla, which is awesome. And it doesn't have to be Tesla; it could be anything else. But when you look at what these things cost a couple of years ago, that's impressive. Most of these Model Ys have a excellent battery health score, so I guess they're using that service that that goes through and gives it a battery score before they shuffle it off to a dealership. Or they're private selling it with a consignment through that dealer license that allows you guys to take advantage of the used car tax credit. So let's see what's going on with this one. Model Y siblings. The average price of a Model Y was approximately $35,000 used. And while that may still be true, we're now seeing dozens of long-range Model Y listings on Edmunds for around $25,000. That's pretty cool. A new Model Y still costs between $45,000 and $52,000. And these are 2020 through 2022 models. Pretty darn good, because other than the AI4, it used to be called HW4 FSD chip, the chip board, There hasn't really been that many changes to Model Y that would make you notice that one is different than the other. Not many, I should say. Us nerds can find some. So that's pretty cool. And yep, so you get the 4,000 at point of sale if you qualify. And these prices don't include the credit, so that's even better. So if it was 25, you're looking at 21 if you qualify for the credit. Hot dog. Dan says, "Yeah, I can put YouTube on Roku and other apps, but I can't watch videos on X on TV." And that's something that's weird to me. I don't know what happened to it. Like they did it on iPhone, and they said it was coming with Samsung, and I haven't seen it on any of my stuff. I've got a Samsung TV in the living room, and we've got a little Google stick on it too. It's not on either device. Maybe it didn't get approved. Uh, maybe Elon was the one talking about the times because we know he can't read a timepiece to save his life. Speaking of, he said that in about 10 days, aka 2 business weeks, those of us that don't have a hardware for AI 4 chip board should be able to experience the new version of FSD version 12.5.x. They did 12.5.1 and 12.5.1.1, but as I said, I can't even attempt to get excited about it until I can get my hands on it because what happens with it is that you got folks like Omar, not our Omar, but the other Omar, Elon's Omar, and a bunch of others like, oh, it's wonderful, it's perfect, oh, and then you get your hands on it, it's like, this is better than it was, but it's nothing to go bragging about. So we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of, we were at Tesla service yesterday. Ended up getting the Falcon Wing door sensors replaced. Uh, Not that they weren't functioning, but there was a design flaw on the older vehicles. If they were black, obsidian black like ours is, gray, some of the silvers, red, or blue, and they sat in the southern direct sun, they would heat up so much that they would think there was a person or like a brick wall standing next to the door. And so they wouldn't open all the way or at all. And so obviously mine, being obsidian black, was one of those affected. And ended up getting those replaced with a new revision. And there's a video I've got coming out about well, I say it's coming out. I haven't even started it yet. It's still in the camera. But there is a flaw in some of the large drive units that can see them see them destroy themselves, and mine is affected. So they've gone ahead and scheduled a new drive unit install for next month, and I don't know if I'll wait for that to happen to finish the video up, or if I'll just kind of like get in the front of the camera on one of these screens and say, hey, ours is affected, and then finish the video, and then maybe do a update later. We'll see how it goes. Uh, but this only affects Teslas with the large rear drive unit, so not too many of us out of the whole population, thankfully, but still a lot of them. And if it's you, it could get expensive. The service writer quoted me somewhere in the $6,000 range, if not up to $7,000, just for the parts. If mine had this issue outside of warranty, so we'll talk about that later. And all right, so we talked about the less expensive Model Ys. Let's look at this Azusa. Oops. I closed something that I wasn't supposed to close. Liebherr and Fortescue have partnered on the world's first autonomous electric haul truck. So we've seen electric haul trucks. We've seen obviously plenty of hybrids because these things are so big that they run like trains. They if they have diesel generates electricity to feed to the motors, and if they have a battery when they come down a hill, they would regen. If they didn't have a battery, they would do exactly like a train and just dump it as heat. And then we saw some of them replace that setup with electric all the way through, either with a tether if they didn't have that far to haul stuff back and forth, or most of them just did batteries. That was the way to go. We saw a couple people toy with hydrogen in there, and the same thing we saw with personal transport. It's not taking off so well. It's even harder to try and pull that hydrogen story over the accountants, because they're sitting there looking at the cost per hour, and they're seeing that how much you're spending on hydrogen. So unless it's cheaper to get that trucked in and then pumped into a fuel cell than it is to get electricity brought in, or set up some solar panels, or just haul some giant batteries back and forth. There's plenty of ways to solve this, and unless hydrogen is the cheapest way, sometimes it is with subsidies. Unless hydrogen is the cheapest way, they don't continue that after they've got their data. They're like, yeah, this is not doing what we need it to do. I like how they make the cooling fans look like headlights. All right, so let's see. Yes. What about it? Say again, please. The baby. The picture. I don't know if it's got a baby in it. Oh, the batteries. You want new batteries? Batteries. Okay, I'll do them after we're done talking to our friends. Okay. I can hold it, and that way I'll remember to change the batteries for you. Okay. I've got some new ones ready for you. I got them all charged up, but I need to get my screwdriver and change the batteries for you. Okay. Oh, you want to hold it till later? Okay. I'll see you soon. Do you want a bear? No. Why no batteries? That's her mom. Why no batteries? Why no batteries? I didn't say no. I said later. Oh, so this is pretty cool. Let's see if we get any specs on this thing. 264 ton BEV converted electric haul truck, and then they made it autonomous. The on-site validation of a fleet of 4 zero-emission Liebherr T264 autonomous trucks equipped with AHS are already underway, and having begun earlier this month at a purpose-built facility at the Fortescue Christmas Creek mine. It's the same active mining site that's also testing Liebherr's BEV converted excavator. That's pretty cool. Let's keep an eye on this. So there's the excavator. I wonder if there are any comments on this one. Yeah, let's see. Generally mines shallow deposits in that area, not deep pits. 300 acres of solar at the mine. See, that's what I was talking about right there. If it's cheaper to just plop some solar panels down than it is to get electric service attached, they will do it. And there we go. I've got a reply to. We'll look at that later. I'm not sure how I handle that. Close this and this. So let's go on to the next one. We already previewed it. It was about Isuzu. The Isuzu NRR EV medium duty electric truck. It gets 50 state approval, which means it can go on sale anywhere. It was always going to be a formality, but Isuzu's medium duty truck has been awarded the zero emission certificate from both CARB and the EPA. Who'd have thought that an electric car or vehicle would have no emissions? But anyway, they got their approval, and now they can go on sale. Let's see if they tell us a little bit about this vehicle. It's a medium-duty truck with fleets seeking to reduce their overall carbon footprint. This is the one, yes, it's the one you can get multiple packs. So you can do next step, battery pack. You can do 3 battery packs, 5 to 9 battery packs, based on your needs. So you can go from, and the battery packs are 20 kilowatt hours each. So you can go from 60 kilowatt hours to get you Nice. Again, 19,500 pound gross vehicle weight rating. The 9-pack version is good for up to 235 miles. What's up, Lee? Good to see you. Happy Sunday. And the batteries, regardless of configuration, can send a total or can send power to 150 kilowatt electric motor with 380 foot-pounds of torque, available at 0. They'll begin assembling the trucks at the NRR EV trucks in Charlotte, Michigan, beginning in August. And so now, and they are set to begin deliveries in Q4. Isn't that sharp? These things look nice. Pretty comfortable. Got an easy to read dash. And then the rest of it's probably going to be very compatible with the rest of their stuff. That way you can just plop it in your fleet or take it to your upfitter and not have to get anything re-engineered. And that's the way to go. There's probably comments on this one too. Yeah. I especially like the modular nature of the battery. Companies can buy the battery they need. Range anxiety is not a thing for commercial fleets. Exactly. In an electrical truck, the battery you don't need is just dead weight that reduces the performance of the vehicle at the cost of usable load. And as he's saying, the usable load is if you lose some of that, you could be losing money because you have limit on not just like with passenger cars, but you cross that limit, you've got yourself into a world of hurt. All right, so let's see. With 60 to 180 kilowatt hour battery, this thing is ideal for companies that know exactly what they need and don't want to pay more for what they don't need. Yeah, you can get a couple of the 9-packs for your unknown routes that are coming up, and then you can get anywhere from the 3 to the 5 to the 7 for everything else. You see the same with electrical delivery vans. Most of those have batteries that are quite small, yeah, like the Ford Transit at 89 miles. You see the same thing with electrical. Many of those have batteries that are quite small because they don't need the extra weight or range. Not just that, but as battery tech improves, changing the battery modules out should be relatively easy. Yes, but the question then is, will they take the effort to make it so that you can go forwards and backwards with the tech? Or can somebody else do it? But the fact that it's designed to be modular makes it a lot more possible for that to happen than, say, a modern Tesla where they can retrofit stuff, but they just don't do it anymore. They used to retrofit all kinds of stuff, some for free and some for fee. But now it's like, oh yeah, no, just buy a new car. That's not really in line with the mission. Let's see. Yeah, I'll give you half a point for that. In Australia, you rarely see trucks like this without a wind deflector over the cabin, at least over the front of the box. So what he's talking about here is they have a fairing on theirs where he travels in Australia. I sometimes see the fairings on this style truck here in the States, but a lot of those, gas used to be fairly cheap, gas and diesel, so it wasn't necessarily worth installing a fairing. And this style of cab, the cab over, to get at the guts, you usually had to tip the cab forward, and adding more weight up there, it's not a lot of weight, but it was a consideration. And if you're all local delivery, if you don't ever get up to a speed that you need to deflect the wind, then there's that. And then one last consideration that you also see is some of these are reefers, so they'll have refrigeration units that would interfere with the placement of the fairing. But it's up to your upfitter. If you want it, tell them, hey, I want a plastic cap on this thing. I say plastic, it's fiberglass, but I want a cap on this thing. Let's make it more slippery. All right, so that's that one. Let's move on to the next one. Take that medication. Pardon me. All right, so South Pasadena becomes the first U.S. city to fully electrify their police fleet with 20 Teslas. So this is the same one we just saw their video. And they got 10 Model 3s for detective and administrative roles, and 10 Model Ys for patrol duties. There you go. and they went with Unplugged Performance as their upfitter. And from what I saw of other upfitters, the Unplugged Performance one is the cleanest so far, and uh, I don't think they're charging anywhere near what some of the other folks were talking about for theirs. Which, I mean, yeah, get your money, but that's also coming from the taxpayers. So, kind of dial it back a bit. Yep. So we talked about them. It's cool. Not much more to say about it. Tesla pushes a software fix to 1.8 million vehicles, vehicles to prevent the hood from flying open. So this is a over-the-air software update recall, and the title is misleading here. On some of the configurations of the vehicles, the car won't let you know that the frunk is ajar, like if you haven't closed it all the way. And if the frunk is ajar and you start driving at speed, first it depends on how many of the latches are engaged. If you've got one latch engaged, it could be a potential problem. If you have none of the latches engaged, then it will definitely be a problem where the front flips open and completely blocks your view. So, not a safe way to drive. And let's see what software it is in. I think it's probably already been fixed. So they're gonna have to do the letter campaign, even if you got it. And we've got to overhaul this system. It's necessary, but it's not performing in the realities of today's world. All right, so the Tesla was first made aware of a problem with the hood's latch in China earlier this year. It took a few months, but they figured out it is an issue that could result in drivers not being notified that the latch was not properly closed before starting to drive. After a customer action opens the hood, the latch assembly may not detect an open condition and prevent the driver notification of the hood open state when the vehicle is placed in drive. I think if I had this or not, because I did have a case where my wife loaded the frunk wrong and we closed it and it popped back open. It was thankfully in the parking lot, and had a nice large um, exit to the street, to the traffic light, and we were able to pull over to the side, figure out what happened, and adjust things and get the front closed back, and then be on our way. I just don't remember if it gave me the doo doo doots or and the big screen, or if it didn't tell me and it just popped open. I don't remember. So, as noted in the recall, it can be dangerous and fly open and obstruct the driver's view. Unknowingly, a vehicle with an unlatched hood may result in the hood fully opening and obstructing the driver's view, increasing the risk of a collision. And that's not the first time I've had a hood pop open on me either. I had worked at a rental car lot for a few years, and one of the vehicles came back. I don't remember if they got the damage waiver or not, but the hood was closed. I didn't know it wasn't latched. I did know there was damage to the front because I was taking it from our location to the lot where they would deal with it, either get it off to auction or get it to get repaired. And it was a 2 mile drive from where we were to the airport, and it looked fine. And I made it halfway there, and then a gust of wind picked it up like this, just doing this, and then before I could get pulled over and deal with it, it went like this. But it didn't just go up. It went back so far that it shattered the windshield in my face, and that was not a fun day. I mean, it was frightening, but with that little flutter, I knew what was going to come next. I just didn't expect that it would bend over so far so fast. And so when they say the hood may fully open, I do know that the Tesla hoods have a lot more bracing than that. I believe it was a Malibu. Uh, but my fear is always that once the hood is up, that if you're traveling at enough speed with enough wind, that will bend over backwards and smash the crap out of the window. It may be unfounded, like I said. It's a different construction than an old Chevy, but should be like a 20-year-old Chevy now. Yeah, no, not 20-year-old. 2006, 2008. That first time they updated the body style to be not so square. Yeah, I'm getting old. Following the findings in China, Tesla conducted investigations in Europe and North America and found it had the same problem and some warranty claims matching the problem. They decided to do a safety recall involving 1.8 million vehicles, and they've already started deploying the fix to the fleet with 2024.20.100 software update. 2020.100. I think I've got this already now. Let's see. So I got an update that the day that Elon was talking about the new update for FSD, and it was not that. Yeah, I'm running it as well. 2020.20.9. So unless .100 is newer than .9, which I don't really think it is, then I've got it. And if it is, then I'll get it real soon when the 10 days is up. We'll see. But right now, because we've already had that experience, I know to check the frunk before driving. Let's check our multi-stream real quick and load up another article. We're going to go with wireless charging. Let's look at a world record breaking wireless EV charger delivers 270 kilowatts, and this is in the lab. And at 270 kilowatts, that's not bad for. If you look at Gen 3 or V3 superchargers, that's 250. So it's beating that. And it's a lot harder to vandalize and steal the cables off of a cableless charger. It does mean that everything out there is incompatible, but it doesn't mean that that they won't release the receivers, because the Chevy Volt and Nissan Leaf originally were getting receivers installed for corporate and home wireless chargers. So I believe somebody did one to Tesla before Tesla bought the company that did some wireless charging. But if this thing is successful, not not a bad thing. They aren't 100% efficient, but they're not as bad as the old versions as far as generating waste heat and stray emissions and such. They claim to be either on par or negligibly different from a cable charge. I guess it's possible. I guess it makes more sense though, because a commercial cable is not going to be as pure as like a lab cable, so it'd be very possible to get them close enough to each other to not bother. Let's see. A demonstration was done in partnership with the Volkswagen Group, and they had a wireless transfer of 270 kilowatts being showcased in a Porsche Taycan EV. So that was my next question: was would it work with 800 volts? But that's an 800 volt car, so probably. Back to high power system. 11 kilowatts power and 92% efficiency. It's not bad. Energy standards cover power levels up to 20 kilowatts. I just wanted to say that they got the rate and that it was done in the lab. Didn't need much more than that. We talked about one of these a few months ago. If they keep doing this, kudos, because eventually they'll get deployed and we can all use it. Oh, the sun's out. Let me check my solar setup. 205 watts coming in. Not bad. It'll be recharged by the evening, especially if the clouds go away. Gonna have to take in these portable panels probably tonight because I don't want them either blowing away or yanking on the interface to the house. That could get messy. All right, got another one from Sawyer. Why would you open on that window? There's nothing going on. I didn't click over there. Stand by. Apple's being helpful again. Move tab to wireless. Click on YouTube. Click on X. So Lucid has produced its first release candidate for the Gravity SUV. Lucid said these will be the best SUV in the world. Delivery start later this year. And speaking with a friend, and we still have doubts as far as their ability to sustain, but they are awesome vehicles. And if you want one, that is something to look forward to. If there's more competition, right? Hopefully, if they don't make it as a company, that somebody will be able to buy the product and fix any shortcomings it may have or corners cut, as well as whatever they've got going on with their financials. We don't need another Fisker situation. There will be more of these failures, but I don't wish it on anybody. Oh, hey there, Lucid Motors Gravity. We see you looking fabulous, leaving the complete assembly line. I think we have a release candidate ready to hit the road. Well, there you go. Major Crescent Pacifica vibes. Yeah, there's that. Will Waymo use these to electrify the fleet? Maybe. Nice minivan with Cybertruck front end. At least you tried. Oh. I didn't think it looked that bad. I mean, it's not my styling, and none of them are, but it doesn't look ugly to me. And they continue to put the charge port in the wrong place. If you're going to put it in the front, put it on the right. If you're going to put it in the back, keep it on this side. Anyway, let's continue on. At least RJ had an excuse for why theirs on the passenger side in the wrong spot. Although you can put it on the passenger side in the front, and then that whole argument goes away. You don't have to put it in the back. Because again, I'm not the cable guy or the phone guy. I don't need to keep walking around my car every time I get in and out of it. It's ridiculous. And I am fat, but that little bit of exercise isn't going to do it. All right, let's go to. Hope this goes to the right place. Yes, okay. This one is about Rivian. So, the Rivian is no longer including a physical key fob with the deliveries of their second generation R1S and R1T models, following a similar move by Tesla with the Model S and the Model X back in 2022. I didn't realize that they stopped including them on the X and S. I guess that should have been my clue when you could actually open the Falcon doors and the front doors with the app. In fact, I'd probably prefer not to have a physical key. Just use my phone key and the key card. Because right now, if I get the key too close to the car, it just opens and closes all day, which is something the trailer did do to it. Governor has declared a state of emergency. Oh, hang on. Oh, this is the last X window I had open, so it's going to use that. I hate the way notifications do that on this one. I thought it would go to the one I'd been using. So the governor has declared a state of emergency in South Carolina in preparation for Debbie. Dominion SC crews are ready, and you should be too. Follow these tips. Yeah, those of you in Florida, this is coming. So hope you're ready. Georgia, it might be overnight. Be ready as well. And then obviously South Carolina, North Carolina, y'all are next. Let's see. Continuing on. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you need the physical key if you've got the app and the key card? It's a good way to save $200 per car or $400 per car, depending on how much of those key fobs are setting them back. Panasonic Energy teams up with Cicero to develop new tech for nickel recovery, aiming for low-cost, eco-friendly nickel processing for EV batteries. This is what Patrick and I have been saying for years about there is so much money left in a used battery that nobody's gonna let it just go to waste. So with this, not saying that it makes it recycling possible because it's already been, but it sounds like it makes it cheaper and more efficient. Let's see some of these comments before we go in. Australia has some of the largest nickel reserves, but little refining. Robin is from Australia and has, for a few years now, encouraged her countrymen to develop nickel refining. Yes, she has. I want to be excited by this, but it's Australia. Well, you can't move the technology elsewhere in the world? And this country will get worse by the day. Cicero used to be the pride and joy of this country until politics. Uh, this will be very beneficial for everyone. Let's see, here's the other Omar. FSD and Acts complete change my life is better. Okay, let's. I guess he needed that. Anyway, let's go to the article itself now. I don't know what Cicero is. Australian National Science Agency. Okay. They laid the groundwork for the future utilization of Australian nickel laterite resources. Their goal is to create a low cost, low environmental impact raw material supply chain. There you go. So it's not just recycling, it's also the extraction. Meanwhile, Panasonic Energy will provide information on battery materials. Currently, nickel is used in many EVs. Over the past few years, more and more automakers are transitioning to EVs. Concerns about global nickel shortages have been brought up. Okay. The main issue with nickel-based cathodes for lithium-ion batteries is supply. Nickel-based cathodes require more stringent, high-purity Class 1 stock from nickel sulfate. Stainless steel products use nickel pig iron or laterite ores, which are unsuitable for batteries. Yeah, that's the other good thing about it is if you are unable to reprocess it back into battery-grade material by mining the batteries, you can still find other industries that need the materials. Cool beans. Drive Tesla found us a spy shot. This appears to be Project Juniper, which is, as you're aware, the Model Y refresh. Breaking. First possible look at the Tesla Model Y refresh, Project Juniper. The trunk looks to have a new rear light bar. Inside, we can see the same ambient lighting and perforated ventilated seats from the Model 3 refresh. So let's make them a little bigger so you guys can actually see that. So here is the rear, part of the rear. And there was some controversy over all of this, but I missed that. And then here is what appears to be the front passenger door. Wires hanging out. Light bar. Excuse me, sorry. Oh. Where did they get that? Oh, wow. Yeah. One employee single-handedly triggering the Osborne effect. Eh, I don't get this response. You don't see that from other brands. When the spy shots come out, if people are interested in them, they look. If they're not, they don't. There's that. Oh, so let's move on to the next thing. So not only was there some other controversy there was still some more controversy attached to the photo there. It's new to me. I've been in the auto industry for decades now, and I've seen people, that want to keep the surprise as long as possible, but usually people want the spy shots. Now that the European Commission has approved Blue Cruise for use on roads that in that particular region, this means that the hands-free feature can now be used in a grand total of 17 countries, 15 of which are in the EU. So kudos to the Blue Cruise team, but also somebody had asked if that would translate into FSD and autopilot, and um, weird he hasn't boosted himself to the top reply. But Musk replied and said, "Yes, we're working on it. Most likely something to that effect. Something positive, but not committing." Especially for those of you that already paid for autopilot and FSD, it'd be nice to not, to get back to where you were before they pulled it all back, and also to see some new advancements. Audi has unveiled the all-electric A6 e-tron and S6 Spec e-tron with 0 to 60 as low as 3.7 seconds, 100 kilowatt hour battery, a range of up to 756 kilometers with the WLTP, 800 volt architecture, 0.21 coefficient of drag, 14.5-inch infotainment display. That's kind of a small display in this day and age. Uh, don't Toyotas have bigger ones now? 11.9-inch digital cluster and a 10.9-inch front passenger display. Okay, so they ran out of room with all those screens all over the dashboard. So think of the first uh, Mercedes EV with the discrete screens and the painted glass over the top. We'll go on sale in the US in mid 2025, but no pricing yet. They went way out for that announcement, didn't they? Not my style, but it doesn't look bad. It reminds me of the Hyundai right now, the like the Gas Nero. And the Sonata in the back. It's not differentiating itself enough. But that's not to say that Hyundai and Kia wouldn't just make it look generic and real quick anyway. Interesting detail on the rings there. Kind of cute. Again, that's not my style, but it doesn't look bad. All right, that looks comfortable. And I like that, even though they got the wood and stuff, it's not like overwhelming chrome and knobs and switches. I can also see why they weren't able to fit a bigger screen because of the format. I was thinking it'd be a little lower in the dash. Those seats actually look really comfortable. I like the way the seats look. And then here's the sports wagon, sportsback. I like it better, but I've liked wagons for a long time. Kyle says I played around with it for a couple of hours. It was nicely put together, and um, it's an Audi, so very serious in the way it does everything. But then that's the vibe. All right, so let's click on this one, and we'll move this one to a new window. Bring that one back. Bring this one over here for now. Let's see what we've got. Oh, Anders sent us a link. Oh, okay. Thank you, Anders. And let's go back to you guys. So, police have determined that the Tesla driver had FSD enabled in a fatal motorcycle crash. And let's go in and hopefully we get the right uh, uh, resolve to a server that works. Good. And I think we talked about this crash shortly after it happened, where a driver was allegedly on autopilot and struck and killed a motorcyclist because they weren't paying attention. And my response is still the same, that the only way this would be any sort of acceptable was if you were paying attention to another threat to, and while that was going on, you did this instead. Like, maybe somebody was tailgating you, or there was another motorcyclist in the other lane to the other side. That might make this more excusable, but I believe they said they were distracted doing something inside the car, and were surprised that the car didn't detect the motorcycle and do something about it. The car might have seen it, but that doesn't mean it knows what to do about it. And this was obviously on a much older release, but even the current ones, you are still the driver. And how did the police find out, you might ask? Well, they actually did it the right way this time. So, authorities have determined that a Tesla involved in a fatal crash with a motorcyclist 15 miles outside of Seattle in April had the automaker's full self driving software active at the time of the collision, according to the AP. After originally reporting that it was autopilot, so just auto steer, keep in the lane, not FSD. Uh, So after they reported that, Washington State Patrol investigators recently determined that the Tesla's more advanced FSD was enabled. The discovery was reportedly made after pulling the information from the EDR, or Event Data Recorder, aka the black box, uh, of the 2022 Tesla Model S involved in the crash. And you can buy the kit for this yourself and pull all sorts of stuff out of the car. And you can, if you've got the right training and custody of chain of custody of evidence, then you could make the money back for buying the kit with a couple consults. Um, yeah, so they pulled the data from the car, and the driver, a 56-year-old man, was arrested following the crash for investigation of vehicular homicide. At the time, he admitted inattention to driving while on autopilot mode, and the distraction of a cell phone while moving forward, putting trust in the machine to drive for him, according to an affidavit. Authorities were unable to independently verify if autopilot was enabled at the time of the crash, and they were recently able to make the determination that FSD was enabled at the time of the collision based on the information pulled from the car, which Tesla says is used for post-accident cause analysis and responsibility determination. So basically, it's the same stuff that Tesla used to do when somebody would lie on them about unintended acceleration or any other crash, and they'd let them out to say whatever, and they blame it on Tesla, and Tesla would say, "Nah," and then they'd say, "Yeah, yeah," and then Tesla would say, "Well, at 56 seconds before the incident, we got a warning. At 3 seconds before the incident, this happened, and then next thing you know, the pedal was applied at 100% until 5 seconds after the collision with the wall." Or, as an example, they stopped doing that a long time ago, but it was quite entertaining to see when they would do it publicly, because somebody would lie on them, they'd say no, they'd lie again. Tesla says, "Here's the proof." I'm assuming that their lawyers made them stop that, but it was quite informative and entertaining. Okay. It's unclear which, if any, charges will ultimately be pursued against the driver of the Tesla. Ultimately, that decision will be left up to the Snohomish County prosecutor, and investigation is still ongoing in this case, wrote the Captain Dion Glover in an email to the AP. And I don't know if it was said in the comments or somewhere else, but now that they have a smoking gun doesn't mean that anything will happen because of the way the P2 uh, crashes here in the States. The motorcyclist's death comes just months after Tesla issued a recall aimed at forcing drivers to be more attentive to the road, and Tesla has been scrutinized over its weak driver monitoring, subpar real-world performance, and false advertising over the name of the system that allegedly gives the public an improper sense of the car's autonomous capabilities. I don't know that it's the naming or any of that. I think it's just complacency. Like you drive it for 1,000 miles and it never messes up, and you're like, oh, this is great, it works. But you drive it for 1,001 miles and it tries to jump off a bridge, then you know you can't trust it. Not like that. Like you have to keep an eye on it. Or maybe not as serious as mine trying to jump off an overpass. You drive in a nice Model 3 with the upgraded wheels. You're driving along, and it takes a turn too short, and it curbs your wheel to the tune of $500 of repair. You learn not to trust it. Not that you don't use it, but you know not to do what this man did. So if he gets off scot-free, which is a real possibility, or if he gets off with any sort of thing in between life and prison, he'll know that if he's inclined to use the 8S, he will keep an eye on it. Shame to learn it that way. Somebody had to give their life for that one. But hopefully, other people can learn from this. NHTSA has since opened a probe into whether or not Tesla's actions were sufficient to address the safety issues following 13 deaths and hundreds of crashes. We'll see how that goes because they were the ones who actually put in most of the changes to the attention monitoring and the recall, the over-the-air software update recall for paying attention to what's going on. Create autopilot in 3D virtual world, and it'll still make unpredicted errors. Yeah. Because countless daily human error is preferable. Yeah. I mean, it's never going to be crashless, but next up we've got news from Sawyer Merritt. China made EVs. So the U.S. has delayed the implementation of the special tariff on China-made EVs, but it's because the paperwork wasn't done yet. Not because they had a change of heart or reconsideration or anything to that effect. So the tariff on electric cars was supposed to come into force on the 1st of August. However, it will issue a final determination this month that the tariffs will be effective approximately 2 weeks later. The reason for the delay was paperwork. Got to delay the new tariffs until the ship makes it to port with all those Chinese-made Zeekrs for Waymo, owned by Google, the largest tech donor to the to a party. You know, that's a conspiracy theory, but I mean, it's certainly a possibility. Here's a $10 billion if you can lose that paperwork for 2 weeks. uh, it's not impossible. All right, so continuing on. All right, MDR says, what does he say? Full details, that's what he says. Full details of what? Breaking, Washington State launches a new EV incentive of $9,000 per vehicle. The 3-year new EV leases receive a point of sale tax credit of $9,000 on top of the $7,500. This makes the zero down leases of $127 a month for Tesla Model 3 and $207 a month for the Tesla Model Y. So zero down is nice. It's rare with a lease. Leases usually come with something down. I'm not saying that you can't get it, but the specials are almost never nothing down. So click into this here. Rebate amounts: purchase or 2-year lease of $5,000, 3-year plus lease of $9,000. Used EVs purchase or leasing a used car is really hard to do. Purchase or 2-year lease of $2,500 or 3-year plus lease of $2,500. Customer eligibility is Washington residents making 300% or below of the federal poverty level in household income, equivalent to $93,600 a year for a family of 4. That will cover a lot of people. It'll cover a lot of people. Full battery electric vehicles with manufacturer supply retail price of $90,000 or less. So they don't want you balling out. They just want you to get an EV. So no Cybertrucks, no electric pickup trucks of almost any kind. You can get the Rivian and a work truck, and you can get almost all of the SUVs and any of the cars. Seller eligibility: automakers that sell eligible vehicles directly to consumers, franchise car dealers. Oh, I like that. The Tesla and Rivian were right up front there. Franchise car dealers and used car dealers with 2 or more locations in Washington or that sell only EVs. Okay, that's pretty cool right there. So if you're a used car dealer that has 2, 3, whatever stores, then you can do this. Or if you only sell EVs but you only have 1 store, you still qualify. They were making this open for as many people as possible. Commerce is the first state to prioritize low-cost leases as part of an EV incentive program. While most EV models are not currently eligible for federal credits when purchased, all EV models are eligible if leased. To make new EVs affordable for all, Commerce is leveraging the federal tax credit to make leasing an EV as low as $56 a month. That's incredible. With at least 6 models available for less than $150 a month. This is really good. It's really good. So as long as you haven't excluded yourself from being able to purchase a car through other means, like just trashing the credit, then this should help expand ownership right there. I'm talking 0 down at $56 a month. Or as the example was, you get a Tesla for less than 200. Estimated monthly payments using a rebate as down payment by vehicle make and model. The Toyota BZ4X, $56. All right. Hopefully you don't need to make road trips in it, but that's a solid vehicle otherwise. Hyundai Kona, that's a good one, $78. Nissan Leaf, again, hopefully you're not going too far, $87. But at least it can charge in the cold. Ioniq 6 at $93, that's not bad. Subaru Solterra, it's a BZ in new skin, $123. I'd get the Toyota. The Kia Niro Wind, $135. And if you've got any money down, you can include that with the down payment and bring these payments down as well. Per month costs are estimates based on calculated by Commerce based on nationally advertised automaker deals in April, and should not be considered guaranteed prices when the program opens. Right, because you guys don't have any cars to sell. You just have money for the dealerships. 2-year leases and all new EVs receive 5,000 point of sale rebate. Oh yeah, we just read all that to you guys. Is on top of the state sales tax waiver. Oh, state sales tax waiver of $25,000 tax free on new and $15,000 on used. Not bad. This is from Commerce, Washington. Let's see. You can use his referral. You can use my referral. Use mine. The lease calculator in Washington will need to be updated to calculate this incentive. Yes. For those of you who keep asking if WA equals Western Australia, no. If it was WAS, I would have posted the picture like this. Uh, Washington State. Forget the $25,000 Model 2, or as Patrick and Mark and I like to call it, the Model Next. You could get a new Model Y for 23 and a half in Washington. Not bad. Elon says, wow. Time to move. What's up, Timothy? Good to see you. Greetings. All right, so let's go back in that thread because I think there was more than where we started. Oh, okay. So basically, Sawyer pointed it out, and MDR um, detailed it for us. So credit to those two for bringing it to my attention. Teslarati on X. So here's I wrote on the notes. Whoa, haven't heard that name for a long while. Big moves at Bollinger Motors. Former GM executive James Taylor steps in as CEO of Bollinger. With Taylor at the helm, Bollinger aims to lead the EV industry, starting with their Bollinger B4 and B5 trucks. What do you think of this shakeup? What did I think was I thought they silently went out of business years ago. But I put in a pre-order for the B4 at the same time as the Model 3. I've had my Tesla for 6 years. I had my Tesla for 6 years. Oh, still waiting on that email from Bollinger. Okay. Let's click into it because this was a surprise to me that they were even still out there. So they've kind of shifted from that modern Hummer H1 with like no compute, no gauges, none of that stuff. Like it had analog dials, but it had all the compute and all that stuff. And one of their big claims to fame was that it had the pass through that went all the way through the vehicle, so you could flip down where the radiator would be on a regular car, and flip down the tailgate, and you could have like a piece of wood go all the way through the truck. And I just didn't see the appeal of what they were selling at the price that they were promising. They were promising it would be super expensive. So it looks like they brought in a former GM exec, and they're not kicking out the founder, but he's gonna kind of move in the company. Where did it go? Bollinger Motors, the commercial electric vehicle manufacturer in Oak Park. Taylor will take over as CEO for the company's founder, Robert Bollinger. So, seeing this picture, you guys might remember what I'm talking about now with the Bollinger, and it had the little pass through in the front, and it looked kind of Hummer H1 ish, or the HMMW, V, whatever, high mobility wheeled vehicle, HMMV, Humvee. From Tesla shareholder to startup, how Robert Bollinger is bringing utility to the market. So we'll see if this is enough to help them. Besides the addition of Taylor, Bollinger Motors also reshuffled its executives. Brian Chambers was promoted to president and COO. Siva Kumar became the chief strategy officer and senior vice president of finance. I benefited from my collaboration with Jim and his deep industry experience. Now is the right time, and Jim is the right person to build on our momentum and get Bollinger to its ultimate goal, says Bollinger, the man, not the company. We'll see. We'll see. All right, got another Sawyer Merit post right here. Updated list of all the promotions Tesla's currently running in the US. You get 3 months of free supercharging if you take delivery on an S, X3, or Y by August 15th. Finance purchases are not eligible for free supercharging incentive. Free FSD transfer if you take delivery by September 30th. 1.99% Model Y financing if you take delivery by September 30th. 1.99% Model Y3 financing if you take delivery by September 30th, but it excludes the Model 3 rear-wheel drive. Free paint options for Model 3 performance and seating layouts for Model X all-wheel drive if you add FSD to your order, so that you can still qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit. $1,000 discount for members of the military and their spouses, available for Model 3, Model Y, Model S, and Model X, with no limit on the number of vehicles that can be purchased. I think they'd be happy to give you $1,000 per car if you bought a fleet. Yeah, here's 50 credit card swipes. Let's make this happen. Is that financing percentage for pre-owned vehicles as well? No. And then this one was one I was not expecting to see. Tesla files lawsuit against well-loved accessory maker over safety concerns. So Tesla has sued EVject for safety concerns, basically, which is kind of ironic because EVject is sold as a safety device. Because there's a problem with EVs where you cannot drive away with the cord connected, which is generally a safety thing, but no manufacturer has included a way to eject the cable while inside the car. EVject gave us a way to do that, but I'm not quite sure why Tesla sued. So just asking them. I wasn't following the whole how it happened, but Tesla's basically saying that this will allow the possibility of a fire or melting, which I guess is possible, but I was under the impression that EVject had done testing. So glad to give you a new option to get away. My shadiest supercharge was in Shreveport, LA. I was the only one charging in the back of an abandoned mall parking lot with what seemed to be a drug deal going about 100 feet away. And the EVject allows drivers to disconnect and drive away from a supercharger without leaving their cabin. It will destroy the EVject, but because part of it is still attached to the supercharger, it will protect the supercharger cable from striking the ground and getting damaged. And the way that it breaks, it shouldn't hit your car as you drive off either. But if you're needing to drive off from a charge like that, then you probably weren't concerned about scratching your car. I mean, you might have been, but not over whatever the imminent danger was. Tesla, however, argued in its lawsuit that EVject is falsely marketing its product as safe, but the product's lack of over-temperature protection creates a safety risk. As per Tesla's lawsuit, which was filed by the U.S. District Court, or in the U.S. District Court for Northern California. So the supercharger handle has sensors in it, and the car socket has sensors in it. So even if EVject did a bad job of this, it should still be detected. I'm no engineer or lawyer, so don't take that as just as a layman. That's my thinking. As per Tesla's lawsuit, which was filed there, thank you the Tesla takeover. Like Valley's tweets included, but none of them are like either side's addressing the condition. In the event of an overtemperature condition in the connector, the lack of overtemperature protection creates a safety risk. Testing of high current simulated charging through the connector, utilized in conjunction with a Tesla supercharger cable and Tesla EV charge port, demonstrated that the surface temperatures of the connector may reach as high as 100 C after 30 minutes of charging at 420 amps DC. The way that Tesla did this doesn't match what any of their cars are capable of doing today, anyway. Basically, they took an EVject, attached it to a supercharger, and then shorted it for 30 minutes. The car and the station would shut themselves down before this happened in the real world. And without a short, there's no Tesla on the market right now that can run at full blast like that for 30 minutes. During an overtemperature event, a user of the connector may be burned during or following charging by touching or grabbing the connector. Additionally, the high temperature present in the connector poses a fire risk and a risk of fire and ignition of other combustible materials in the charger cable and the vehicle connected to the charger and the supercharger infrastructure. I mean, yes, this is a possibility, but is it a high chance of happening? Don't know. Tesla's going to have to install a way to eject the charging cable while charging. Otherwise, police officers are sitting ducks for ambush while they're charging in public. Another vulnerable group to this issue. And it's not just superchargers, but since Tesla is the largest station and vehicle provider out there, they should be the ones to fix it first. We've already been working with several police departments and have provided them EV-Ject units for their EVs. The lawsuit has been received with polarizing reactions from the EV community. Some who support the EV makers' legal action have noted on social media that EV-Ject's product pitch creates fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Yeah, but it's also from some very real scenarios. I've got a video on an occurrence that happened at the Burlington Supercharger in North Carolina. A lady and her daughter were robbed. No, robbed. They were in the car, and this man came up to them. Watch my video for the full details. It's been years, and I won't tell an accurate retelling of it now. Not because I don't want to, but it's so old. It's not fully in my head anymore. Supporters of the device, however, have argued that instead of suing EV-Ject, Tesla should instead work with the accessory maker to make sure that its product is safe. Why not both? Tesla, after all, has made a reputation for being an automaker that puts safety above all else, and it would be quite out of character for Tesla to throw down a product that helps protect drivers, especially one that does not have an alternative from the official Tesla shop. I mean, yeah, they could just make their own if they wanted to. Let's see the comments on this. What do you guys think? Has this been something you have wanted at any point? The ability to remove your car from the charger without getting out for safety? Rico says, hey, what's up, Rico? How goes it? Lee says the concept was better looking. Yeah, that's the problem with most of the auto industry is that the concepts look better than the vehicle. And we're talking about the not the Fisker. I want to say Fisker. The Lucid Gravity there. And Lee says, not the same old SUV look. Thank goodness. So there's that. Yeah. Eddie has always pointed out to us that same thing that RJ told us the other week that too many of these mid-size SUVs look exactly the same. RJ said, why copy the Model Y if you're coming out late? Just make something that people want to buy, something unique, instead of just following like sheep. All right, let's get into the 83. I said less than that. Let's take a sampling. I once drove away from a diesel pump with a fill nozzle still attached. Fortunately, the rig and the pump were undamaged, but I never forgot the embarrassment. But I've never had to blast off in a hurry due to safety. Yeah, but we're talking about a 10-minute stop versus a 15 to 45-minute stop. There's a lot more opportunity for somebody to cause you danger and harm. But to this article, I have to go with Tesla. As the article states, the breakaway adapter can overheat, with the obvious risks. From a technical side, 420 amps of DC, Lord knows what voltage, 400 volts-ish, because that's what the packs do right now. Excuse me. The arc drawn from an uncontrolled disconnect is a major deal, not to mention the heat. It's not an uncontrolled disconnect. You're not able to drive away while the car is still charging, even with EV-Ject. What it allows you to do is stop charging, and then for a brief second, while the car is not charging, you can then drive away because the car won't see that it is still plugged into something. And as you drive away, it will shear the EV-Ject, and the cable will fall to the ground, and you will drive off with a charge port that can't close because it's still actually got something in it. So you're part right and part wrong. Yeah, because you're not disconnecting high voltage um, unsafely with this tool. Not too much heat. The heat is an issue, and that's what Tesla's going about. Tesla never alleged that you're arcing high voltage DC, because yeah, if they said that, then anybody disagreeing with them would be um, you have to question the motive. But there is no arc. If there was a safe way to approach this issue, then Tesla would have done it already. That's not true. There are plenty of safe ways that Tesla could have done this. They could have just had like a push pin to push the connector out, just boop, like it spit it out, and then you drive away. But that's not something they did. I mean, you still have, just like the EV Jack, you still have to hit stop charging first, but you can hit emergency stop charging and then spit it out and keep on going. Uh, there is no arc, Mr. Hill. I hope somebody corrects him. I don't understand why some kind of deal couldn't be reached before going to court. I've tested one of these. The breakaway part isn't an issue. It's designed to break away in a safe manner. The issue is thermal control. I never noticed it getting hot. A sheep in wolf's clothing. Could this be a workaround for the wet rag hag? No, it can't. Because it's not cooling. It's just, and it's not faking it cool either. Let's see. Tesla could have solved this as a spit out the plunger and spit out the cable, and uh, you can't use this product until you get stop charging. So no arcing danger. There's so many reasons to avoid fossil cars. I can't even think about the rare real life scenarios like yours. It's not an uncontrolled disconnect. The EV jack stops the flow of electricity prior to breaking apart. All the user has to do is unlock the charge port, and the electrical flow stops. The plug is dead at that point. There's zero arc. Okay, so somebody did get to him. If an electrical power accessory is unsafe, it should be prevented from sale. If it's designed for use only in a Tesla supercharger, then it constitutes a risk of damage to Tesla's customers' brand and reputation. Yeah. Tesla should work with the manufacturer to make the product safe. Charge a few sketchy superchargers late at night. It's not like you can drive for a mile or two to the next supercharger, which is often 50 or more miles away, when things are sketchy. And if you're towing, it's worse, because when you're towing with a Tesla at the moment, sometimes you can't make it to the next supercharger until you've hit the charge point. Tesla has no obligation to help them if they didn't enter a contract with Tesla. They don't have to help them for free. Tesla should work with the aftermarket accessory maker to make them safe. Really? Gratis as a gift to EVJ? Again, it doesn't have to be free. Tesla would have contacted them to work out a cooperative way to get the units to safe, where Tesla could be compensated for their time and EVJ could possibly turn their nose up at it. Yeah, we don't know the details on the story. We're hearing not even one side of the story. We're hearing what the lawsuit says. So it's less than one side of the story. They don't need to work with Tesla. They need to modify their product by adding a few temperature sensors, fail-safe circuitry, maybe a thermal sink, and well, you don't need to do all that. But the sensors wouldn't hurt. Like if they had the sensors, and then they could then pass that data back through both sides of the cable or one side of the cable. It depends on what's in the J3400 standard at this point, really. And yes, the superchargers don't use that, but once you've got that going, then it'll be easy enough to work with Tesla on that. EVJect just got burned by its own product. I've seen their pitch, and it's 100% aimed at creating fear in the heart of EV owners. you're selling an alarm system, better door lock. You're selling all these things. That's I don't know. That's the easy way to sell it. Seem to just wait in the fear. Well, yeah, there's that too. I've talked to many ICE owners who are afraid they might be stuck at a charging station late at night if somebody creepy walks up. I won't be able to drive away. It's a fear that already exists. Some other folks elsewhere have suggested firearms, but the kind of people who need superchargers most are typically interstate travelers, and you need to be mindful of firearms laws as you cross borders because um, if you do that, uh, you got to be mindful of the laws. Otherwise, you could find yourself in a very sticky situation. Uh, Tarot Killer asks, why are they called electric vehicles? They are called that because they their motive source is an electric battery or electric fuel cell um, output. Not that we're really into FCEVs over here on this channel, but the motive source is electrical rather than combustion in nature, and that's why they're called EVs. All right, so that's enough of these people arguing back and forth. Let's close this. And that was the last story I had pulled ahead for you guys. So I was speaking with a friend about what we talked about at the end of last week's show with the HV Nomads project, and I'm going to call the insurance company and see if there's another way to approach this without risking ending up on their sketchy customers list. And that way we can go ahead and continue as planned and do one piece as we are able to develop the build. I think it'd be more fun that way, and it'll allow us to kind of course correct as we do it rather than uh, kind of like just do it and then release the videos one piece at a time while we've already hit the road, because that would be kind of lame and boring. So tomorrow I'll give the insurance company a call and say, hey, what about this? Hopefully they say you're good to go, and then we'll roll from there. So if that is the case, what we'll do is I'll finish up this video about the large drive unit, and then we'll, when it's not raining or hurricaning or whatever, we'll go outside and we'll make a video on the trailer and introduce it to you guys in video form. Or yeah, if you would like, you can go to hvnomads.com and get a preview by thumbing through the Nomad notes. And I want to thank everybody for coming through today, and let me also do a special shout out to Mr. All Electric Car Lunacy for his $4.99 donation at the close of last week's show. And it looks like we've cleared the music house's claim to that. So that should be in the next Google deposit. And we'll be able to apply that to the trailer. And we'll put you on the site next time we update the site. And with that, catch you on the flip side. So here's the new outro. Thank you for all your time today, everybody, and thank you for our channel members for their compensation for keeping this thing running.